Hello again, everybody, and welcome to this special episode of the International Agenda presented by the BJ Show. As always, I am your host, Aidan Barry, and I will be taking you through not only the NHL and NBA playoff finals in this episode, but I'll also be going over the end results for the Premier League as well as the champions in European major club competition in the lead up to the FIFA Club World Cup. So that's all we have to get into today, so let's get straight into the program. We're going to begin with the NBA Finals between the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Indiana Pacers. So let's get straight into our preview of that series.
Pulls up, three-pointer, bang! Bang!
Game 1 of the 2025 NBA Finals is finally here between the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Indiana Pacers. On one side, you have the MVP, the most valuable player, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. On the other side, you have an MVP of another kind, the most villainous player, Tyrese Halliburton, on the Pacers. So as we look at this series, there's a couple of things that stand out to me. It's just the way that Oklahoma has been dominating their whole playoff since game 1 against Memphis. They have been far and out a team to beat. Now, I had my questions about them being a true one seed when we looked at the playoff bracket, but it turns out they've absolutely held up their end of the bargain and more and been a true one seed. So some key players and some key stats for them. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander leading with 32 points a game, MVP level there. Hartenstein with 10 rebounds per game, and Shai Gilgeous leading the assists as well with 6 assists per game. Now, having a look at some numbers for these teams, it's coming in at Shai playing 34 minutes a game, so he's playing at 6 assists and 32 point over 34 minutes a game, so nearly a point a minute there. His field goal numbers are ridiculous as well, so nearly 52% from field goal range, 89% from the free throw, so you can't send him to the line, but you can't let him shoot either. He's a very, very difficult player to defend in this series. We're going to have a look now at the Indiana Pacers, and their leaders are led by points by Pascal Siakam, 20 points. Their rebounds also led by Siakam at 7, and assists led by Tyrese Halliburton. Now, what's interesting is even though Siakam leads the team in points per game, 20.2 points, Halliburton has been the man in these playoffs, putting up numbers and putting up crazy comebacks against. He's done it, crazy comeback every round. They've done it once against the Bucks, once against the Cavs, once against the Knicks. That's why they're here. These guys, you cannot give them a sniff. If you give Indiana Pacers a sniff, they will hunt you down. That is the kind of team that they are. Now, we'll get into the preview of the series. So I think that all things going as normal, it should go quite easily, quite quickly to the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think they could probably actually sweep the Pacers here, but I'm going to say that the Pacers maybe do get one, so I'm going to say the Oklahomans win in 5 games. So in game 1 here, just looking at their preview for game 1, Oklahoma have a 65% chance of winning to Indiana's 34.4% chance of winning, and it seems more than that. I feel like Oklahoma's probably more of a 70-30% chance of winning, because I feel like Indiana's bubble's got to burst at some point, and I think it's going to be the playoffs. I think even if Oklahoma City's bubble does burst, I think they still comfortably clear Indiana over a 7-game series. So Indiana have to keep up that consistency, keep up that ability to chase down teams, stay in games, share the ball around, share the scoring load. And this is where Indiana versus OKC is such an interesting series now on that point, because Indiana, they do like to share the scoring load around. They're 10 deep on the bench. They have multiple scorers across all positions. OKC, again, similar, have multiple scorers across the floor, but also have elite defenders in Alex Caruso and Lou Dort on the floor as well. So can those elite defenders help the offense for Oklahoma City by shutting down the bench points for Indiana? I think that one thing that's really going to decide this series, as well as, key matchups, Tyrese versus Shai, going to look at Holmgren versus Turner and Siakam, depending on who goes to him on defense for Indiana. So I think that in the end, key matchup, controlling Indiana's scoring point is what's going to get Oklahoma City over the line in 5 games. But that is my preview of the 2025 NBA Finals. We're now going to move on to the 2025 NHL Stanley Cup playoffs. The 2025 Stanley Cup playoff finals are here as we jump right onto the ice for a rematch of last year between the Florida Panthers and the Edmonton Oilers. And this is a real interesting series, I think. Both of these teams were clearly the most dominant teams in their conferences in the playoffs, and I feel like, when we watch the NBA, we can pick out teams who we think are strong and good over one or two games, but they don't fold so much. They fold more over 7-game series than they would in the NHL, where the NHL we saw the Caps were doing really well, the Jets were doing really well, the Hurricanes looked dangerous for a while, the Maple Leafs looked dangerous for a while, the Wild were in them, but the Stars were in the mix, the Avs were in the mix. I could go on and on and on about all the teams who are in the mix, but in the NHL you have to be playing hot hockey in the hot days of summer, and that is what is done in Florida. The Cats go in the reigning Stanley Cup playoff champions as they play the Edmonton Oilers out of the Western Conference in what is going to be and is bound to be an exciting matchup. Now, before we get into anything, we already had game one today. Before we get into game one, I want to look over some of the players who have stood out over the season. So we'll go through Florida first as they're defending. So their top points getter had 81 points, 39 and 42. Sam Reinhart leading the goals for the Cat with 39 goals on the season, 213 shots on the year as well, so a good return number for him there. And then Alexander Barkov, 51 assists. God, that's a fourth line number. 51 assists on the year for Alexander Barkov, and on that plus having a +1. Only a +1 differential. And this is something that I'm going to talk about when it comes in key, is that his assists, I mentioned that 15 assist number, 51 assist number. That's sometimes where it comes from, a little lower assist number, because his plus minus is quite low. We're going to have a look at the Edmonton Oilers key players now. Leon Draisaitl, 106 points, a 50-50 year for him, 52 goals, 54 assists. No one catching him in the goals department for the Oilers. 52 goals, 240 shots, so very good return for him there. And then the leading assist getter for the Oilers with 74 is Connor McDavid with a plus minus of 20 points. And that plus minus that I talk about there is going to come in real key to this series. We see that the Cats are a team who play across multiple lines. We obviously have the line with Reinhart and Barkov, but then we have the line with Brewster Ryan, Marchand. We have then the next line, the lines with Rodriguez. We keep going down and down. They're a very solidly built team. We look at the Edmonton Oilers. They're a team who are a team that play with a core group of players across those top two lines. That's where most of their damage is done. So that is the key players to watch out for in this series. We're going to go straight into game one, which already happened today, and we have a score of 3-4 Edmonton winning in overtime. And we'll have a look at the goals. So we'll have a look at the stars of the game afterwards as well. In the first period, Leon Draisaitl opens the scoring from Kapanen and Woolman. Then Bennett gets one back for the Cats for 1-1 from Verhaeghe and Matthew Tkachuk. Marchand then on the power play for the Cats from Schmidt and Rodriguez. The Cats up 2-1. Rodriguez, as I mentioned earlier, dangerous player, someone definitely dangerous for an assist on the power play for the Cats. Into the second we go. Bennett again, this time from Schmidt and Verhaeghe. Cats up 3-1 as we go into the second period. Arvidsson from Podolskin and Bouchard getting it back to 3-2 for the Oilers. Jumping into the third now, Maris Ekholm from McDavid and Kapanen, his first of the playoffs. McDavid 21st assist, 3-0 in this game. Overtime we go, and it was at the very end with 30 seconds remaining in the first overtime, because in playoff hockey, overtime is consistent 20-minute periods until there is one goal scored in 5v5 traditional hockey. And in those final 30 seconds, Leon Draisaitl nets again on the power play from Connor McDavid and Corey Perry to put the Edmonton Oilers up 5-1 in the series. Now, do I think Edmonton is going to hold that lead? I think they definitely look stronger than they did last year, and they're a team who I think are more interested in being less well-rounded and more interested in running through their top guys their Bouchards, their Corey Perrys, their McDavids, their Drysidles. Kapanen's getting involved. Bouchard, as I said. Podolsky got involved today as well. So did Wallman. So they're getting a lot of contribution from those top players, and other players are helping out as well. But the focus clearly on Draisaitl and McDavid for the Oilers, and I think that is going to be a strategy that keeps them held up well. I think this is going to be an absolute classic series. Last year went to 7. I feel like this year is going to go to 7 as well. We will close our look at the NHL playoffs by having a look at today's stars of the game. First up, our third star from the Edmonton Oilers is Kapanen. It is with Kasperi Kapanen from the Edmonton Oilers with his 2 assists out of the right wing spot for the Oilers. Our second star in this matchup is Sam Bennett from the Cats, the Florida Panthers, second star centerman. 2 goals on the night, just not good enough. And our third star on the night was Leon Draisaitl of the Edmonton Oilers, another centerman with 2 goals, including the game winner in overtime. So that is the NHL Stanley Cup playoff. We're going to now close out today by looking at the Premier League and the major European trophies. Let's get straight into the Premier League table. We'll go from bottom to top, and we'll see the final positions for all 20 teams in this year's English Premier League. So we're going to start with the 3 teams who got relegated, unfortunately. Years to forget for these clubs. Although for the Tractor Boys of Ipswich Town, I think coming up to the Premier League was a major achievement for them in any stretch. So they should be very proud of themselves for their efforts. Even, I believe, got a win against Chelsea earlier in the year. And that was one of their bigger wins in the last 25 years for Ipswich Town. But we'll go through the league anyway. So in the drop zone, relegation to the championship, we have 20th place Southampton. Sunderland are coming up. They won the playoff. 19th is Ipswich Town. 18th is Leicester. That is your 3 teams getting relegated. In 17th, we have a team who nearly were relegated. They were the last team safe in the Premier League, albeit by some 13 points. Even won the Europa League. They are headed to the Champions League despite finishing 17th. It is Tottenham Hotspur. 16th, we have Wolverhampton, 42 points. 15th is Manchester United, also on 42 points. Into the mid-table now, we have West Ham at 14th, 43 points. And 13th, Everton on 48 points. In 12th is Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace, who won the FA Cup. Palace, their first major trophy, also nets them a direct qualification to the Europa League phase. So they will not have to go through the Europa League playoffs after winning the FA Cup. From 12th place up to 11th, now we go to Fulham. Fulham finishing 54 points with a goal difference of 0. Hang on a second. Now, this is interesting. Fulham, fun stats time here on the international agenda. Fulham, who were in 11th place, had 54 goals scored, 54 goals conceded for that 0 in the goal difference department, and they finished on 54 points. So for every point they scored and conceded 1 goal. Moving on to the top 10 now, we have Brentford, who had an outstanding campaign with 56 points and a goal difference of +9. In 9th is the Cherries of Bournemouth. Again, outstanding campaign for them, 56 points, goal difference of +12. Splitting them and Brentford. In 8th, and unlucky to miss out on Europe, is Brighton and Hove Albion with 61 points. Now we move into the top 7 and we move into the teams who have qualified for European competition. And we start in 7th place with Nottingham Forest on 65 points. Late season slip for them sees them only qualify for the Conference League playoff round, so they're not even guaranteed to be in the Conference League proper, although, as I said, late slip for them. Could have seen them in the Premier League or in the Europa League with direct qualification. In 6th place is Aston Villa. They have qualified directly to the Europa League phase with that 6th place finish on 66 points. Now we move into the Champions League bound top 5 of the Premier League. In 5th place is the Toon. It's Newcastle United, also on 66 points, but having a goal difference of +21, seeing them over Aston Villa and into the Champions League. In 4th place, we have Chelsea. Chelsea with 69 points getting to the Champions League. In 3rd place was Manchester City. City finished on 71 points. Arsenal in 2nd place finished on 74 points. And the league champions, your Premier League champions for season 2024-25, Liverpool are your league champions. So well done to Liverpool on that. Let's get into some European Club Championship. As we look at our 2025 European Club Championship champions, we're going to start down in the Conference League. This was played between Real Betis of Spain and Chelsea of England. Real Betis got out to the early lead in the 9th minute to Ezazuli, and that was their only goal of the match in the 9th minute. And then from there, it was all Chelsea's way in the second half. Goals from Enzo Fernandez, Nicolas Jackson, Jadon Sancho and Moises Caicedo absolutely putting the Spanish side to the sword. Chelsea running away 4-1 and deserved winners. Now, I think this game, maybe could have been a little bit closer, but we saw, especially in the second half of the season, a major upturn in Chelsea's form. So I'm not too surprised that Chelsea won that one. I think I'm more surprised in the manner that they won that one. So well done, Chelsea. As I said, they will not be using the Europa League places as they directly qualify for the Champions League. Talking of the Europa League, we go straight into the Europa League now. And this one was a game between two English clubs in an all-English final between Tottenham and Manchester United. Tottenham winning this one 1-0 at the end of the day. Brennan Johnson, the goal scorer for Spurs in the 42nd minute in the match, where Manchester United dominated pretty much everything from a statistical point of view. 16 shots to 3, 6 shots on target to 1, 74% possession, 514 passes to 184, 84% pass accuracy, 10 fouls, and that is complete domination of a game by Manchester United. So domination of the game like the Manchester United of old under Sir Alex Ferguson, but a total lack of conversion or finish or polish or any way of putting the ball in the back of the net like the current Manchester United team. So unfortunately, they get beaten by Spurs in this one. With, as I said in the Premier League recap, Tottenham going straight into the Champions League even after they bungled the Premier League last season. Now we're going to have a look at said Champions League final. It was a match between the French side of Paris Saint-Germain and the Italian side of Internazionale Milan. And this game was a one-way street from the start. All PSG, Hakimi, Doué, Kvaratskhelia and Mayu scoring goals for the Parisians as they beat the Italians quite comfortably 5-0 in the Champions League final. Well done to PSG on winning the Champions League. Well done to all of our European Cup winners for this season. But just like the football season in Europe, it has come to a close and our time today has come to a close as well. Thank you very much for listening. As always, I've been your host, Aidan Barry. This has been the International Agenda presented by the BJ Show.